Even though Japan is one of the safest places in the world, the last few decades have seen a staggering rise in the number of fraud cases. What kind of fraud? And how does it happen? Why does it happen? Let's find out. While Japan prides itself as being one of the safest places to be online, scammers are now using technology and AI to get around those safeguards. These days, fraudsters are using social engineering, AI-generated content, and several different ways to trick people out of their money. The National Police Agency, or NPA, is reporting that scams are evolving faster than defenses. And a lot of these crime syndicates involve people overseas. Who are the victims? Mostly people who are 65 and older, the elderly. But these days, young people are increasingly being targeted through their phones. So one of the biggest scams that happens is called the ore ore sagi. And what does that mean? Ore means I. It's a masculine way to identify yourself. Somebody calls the intended victim and says, ore, ore, it's me, it's me. And why do people believe this? Why do people fall for this? Well, because that's how you'd identify yourself on the phone. Hey, it's me. A lot of times the victim, very naive, not really sophisticated about online scams or telephone scams, will actually offer up a name. Oh, is that you, Kenji? And they say, yeah, that's me. Now the scammer has a name. And usually when people answer the phone at home, they use the last name, the name of the household. So they'll say, this is Tanaka. And then they give up the name. Now you know that you're targeting Kenji Tanaka. Usually they fabricate an emergency. They say, Mom, it's me. I've crashed the company car and I need $5,000 for repairs. Otherwise, I'm going to get fired. Like I said, the scammer can sometimes get the people to unwittingly give up information. They'll say, oh, is that you, Kenji? And the scammer now has the name. One of my colleagues, who's a very intelligent lawyer, got one of these scam calls. And they said, oh, is that you, Hiroshi? And the scammer said, yes, it is. And she said, I don't have a son named Hiroshi. There's also the tax refund scam, or just the general refund scam. A scammer will call up and tell an elderly person, hey, you're eligible for a refund, but if you don't act now, you're going to lose it. It can be $2,000, $3,000, and for some people that can be life-changing. So what they do is they tell them, and they stay on the phone with them, tell them to go to the nearest ATM and claim the refund. However, what they end up doing is directing them to transfer money into the scammer's account. So the scammer could be impersonating anybody from a city office, like a city office, a ward office, or the tax office. That kind of gives an air of authority. And most people trust city offices and tax authorities and police stations. The scammer creates a sense of urgency, telling them, if you don't claim this refund, it's going to go away. You're going to lose this $3,000. What makes this even more effective is sometimes scammers will send a postcard or an official-looking letter to the intended victim and then follow it up with a phone call. Person may be kind of skeptical when they see the postcard, like, I don't remember filing a tax return and overpaying $2,000. But when they get a phone call from the supposed tax office, like, oh yeah, I remember getting that postcard the other day, now it sounds a lot more legit. Scammers evolve over time. They evolve with the time. So during the COVID lockdowns, they were using a COVID tax relief scam or a COVID incentive scam. They call people up and say, hey, you're entitled to this $2,000-$3,000 COVID relief fund, but you haven't filed for it, so I can help you over the phone. Once again, they direct them to an ATM. They confuse the person, talking really fast, sounding very official, and they, like I said, create this sense of urgency. If you don't do it now, you're going to lose it. And they direct the person to actually transfer money into their account. And once it's transferred, it's gone. However, these scams are so prevalent in Japan these days that when you go to withdraw money from an ATM, there usually be a sign. I'll try to get one because you're not supposed to take pictures in banks or ATMs, but there's usually a sign on there that says, are you being scammed? Call this number and talk to somebody. And they can counsel that person on whether or not the phone call they received is legit and whether or not what they're being told to do is legit. We'll hear about what a safe country Japan is, and I talk about it all the time. I mean, people are so honest, it's so safe. Random crime is very rare. I even talk about the time I left my wallet with 300,000 yen. At the time, that was almost $3,000. Left my wallet in a phone booth when people used to use public phones, and was in a hurry to catch the train. I left my wallet on the phone, and when I figured out it was gone, I went back to the phone booth. It was gone. I went to the train station and explained my problem in the best I could in my really bad Japanese at the time. And they said, oh, 2 high school girls just turned in your wallet. So people get this image of Japan being safe and everybody's honest and everybody's looking out for each other. So how do they get people to scam other Japanese people? And why do I think that it's mostly Japanese people scamming other Japanese people? How do you get them to do that? Well, why I think it's Japanese people doing it is attaining fluency in Japanese is very difficult. And people like me, I've been here 20 years, still haven't lost my accent. So no matter how good my Japanese is, I don't think I'd be able to pull off something like this. Not that I'm ever going to try. So how do you get a native speaking Japanese person to do something like this? Well, a lot of times they have debt or they're being coerced into doing this. So they've gone somewhere and gambled away a bunch of money, got into debt with the wrong people. Maybe they took what's called a sarakin, which is a payday loan, and they owe a lot of money on this. They've gone to a loan shark. And when they can't pay it back, as Michael Francis says on his channel, the loan shark doesn't necessarily resort to violence as a first step. They'll try to help the person find a way to pay back the loan. A lot of times these ways are very unsavory ways. So what a loan shark will do is hook them up with a call center, give them a script, lock the door behind them and say, okay, go to work, pay back your loan. And a lot of these people getting coerced into doing this, they're in debt, they're scared, they can't go to the police because they borrowed money illegally, they can't go to their parents because they're embarrassed, they can't go to their job because companies will actually do background checks on people in hiring to make sure that they don't have excessive debt, because that can make them do things, that can harm the company. So they're put in a room, given a script, and told, make a phone call, start working, start paying back your loan. And so sure, they might make enough money by scamming other people to pay back this loan. And then they want to get out because they're promised, once you pay off the loan, you can leave. But once you've been recorded, maybe on hidden audio or video, once you've been recorded scamming people, they can threaten you and say, if you walk out of here, we're going to go to the police. And then you're cooked. Don't let me forget about the overseas shopping scam. Now, somebody tried to get me on this in the 90s. I'm glad I didn't fall for it. There were some red flags and I saw them. Let me tell you how it works. A person is claiming to open up a high-end boutique, needs buyers to go overseas, maybe go to France or Italy and buy some really nice bags or some really nice watches. And they say, I put all my money into this store and I've got all my goods are stuck in customs. So I've got hundreds of thousands of dollars locked up in customs. I'm eventually going to get them out. I'll be able to sell them, but I just need a little help because if I don't open this store, here comes the urgency. If I don't open this store, I'm going to lose my life savings. My family's going to be destitute and hungry. My wife will divorce me, all that stuff. So they kind of prey on the empathy of the intended victim, which makes it even more kind of evil in my opinion. So they'll have the victim travel overseas on their own dime, go buy some expensive bags or expensive watches, bring them back to Japan. They'll meet him in a coffee shop, say, my store is under construction. Let's just meet at a coffee shop, hand them off to me and give me your phone number. And then as soon as I'm able to sell these goods in my store, I'll pay you back with a 10% bonus. I'll pay for all your travel, your meals. And it seems too good to be true. And if something's too good to be true, it most likely is. So a friend called me up. This is in the 90s. Friend called me up and said, hey, my friend is looking for people to go overseas and buy expensive bags. And I saw all the red flags, like you're going to have to front all the money yourself. They'll meet you at a coffee shop when you get back. And as soon as they are able to, open up their store and make some money, they'll pay you back. And I thought, well, this is a little strange. This is even before I became a lawyer. I was very skeptical. So I didn't go for it. And I'm glad I didn't, because a few months later, it might have been 6 months or a year, but let's say a few months later, I saw something on the news about how somebody had been busted trying to sell high-end luxury goods way below wholesale price. And this is how the police caught them. They had gone to some high-end boutiques in Ginza and offered to sell these bags and watches way below the wholesale price. And these people know the market, and they got very suspicious. They called the police, and either they had a wire or a hidden camera, but they caught the thief. And I don't know what happened to the victims. I hope they got their money back. But a lot of times these scams, these people who, you see them scamming and making millions of dollars, and you think, well, if I had millions of dollars, I'd have a nice house, a nice car, and some savings. But the people who work as scammers or criminals are rarely good with money. This is why they become criminals. So the people who try to get their money back probably didn't get anything back. They learned a lesson, a very expensive lesson. This is still happening today, by the way. Now, with COVID, people couldn't travel overseas as easily, and people kind of got wind of this, and I think Japanese are pretty skeptical anyways. So I'm surprised it works, but there's an online shopping scam these days that's going around where somebody will say, very similar situation, I've spent all this money to open a store, and I bought some things from overseas and everything's locked up in customs, and if I can't open the store in 2 weeks, I'm going to go bankrupt. So can you go on this website and buy this luxury item for me? And when it arrives, have it delivered to my business or my home. And when it arrives, I'll pay you plus like a 10% reward. And of course, it goes to some place, maybe really far away from where the victim is living. So if the victim's in Tokyo, they'll say, send it to this store in Osaka, or vice versa. And when it arrives, the scammer takes it, maybe sells it online somewhere and makes a profit, and the victim just never hears from him again. So these scams, like I said, evolve over time. People couldn't travel overseas because of COVID, so it became an online scam. So this is something I get almost every day, at least 5 to 10 messages like this. Not sure how my number got leaked, but maybe when I signed up for something, they sold it to a group of scammers or whatever happened. Doesn't really matter. But I get 5 to 10 of these messages per day. Attention, you have been accused of money laundering. Pay your fine here or face arrest. Then they give you a bank account number and an amount. And it's 200,000, 300,000 yen. And I've worked in money laundering. I've worked in fraud cases. I've worked in internal investigations. And I know that these are a total scam. I know this is nonsense, right? So not to say that I'm incredibly brilliant or something, but I am skeptical, because when the authorities find out that somebody has committed an act like this, like money laundering, they don't notify you by text message or SMS. It usually comes through official channels. They will come and talk to you, maybe arrest you. They will send you an official letter that you have to sign for. That way they have proof of notice, right? So a tax authority or government authority will never contact you by text message. Another telltale sign that this is complete nonsense. Another scam I get all the time is your account has been hacked. Log in here to recover your password. And a lot of times they'll give you a website, and this one used WhatsApp. And I don't blame Meta or WhatsApp. Don't get me wrong. I blame the scammer. What they're trying to do is capture my username and password. So what they want you to do is click on the URL or the web address, put in your credentials, your username and password, and maybe they'll even ask you for your name and your phone number and even other information like if you're a US citizen, your social security number. If you live in Japan, they might ask for your My Number, which is kind of like the Japanese equivalent of a social security number. But they'll ask for this private information, and sure, people don't want to lose their account, so if they're in a hurry and they don't look carefully, they might fall for it. So how do you know this is a scam? If you look closely at the address, there's a mistake in it. Now, like I said, I don't blame WhatsApp or Meta. I blame the scammer. But this is a telltale sign that this is a scam. They got the address wrong. And what they do is they try to create addresses that look very similar. And if you click on that, and I'm not going to, it will take you to a website that looks very similar to the official company website. And that's how people fall for it. If they're on the train, they're in a hurry. Oh no, my account got hacked. I better recover my password right now. They always have this sense of urgency. So, I mean, you don't want your WhatsApp or your Facebook account to get hacked. So you might panic and log into that website, and then they've got your username and password. One of these telephone scams where you have to talk to a person would be very difficult for somebody who doesn't have excellent Japanese. It's very easy to use AI to generate a fake message. So that's why a lot of these scammers are based overseas now. Scammers can blast out thousands of messages, maybe millions of messages at one time using the right tools. So how do you protect yourself? If you get a phone call from somebody claiming to be from the bank, the tax office, or the city office, tell them you call them right back. If they give you a number, check it against the website. Like I said, you get a bunch of these messages every day, just delete it, report it, or block it. I mean, it doesn't really help because they keep sending them from different addresses. But I don't know how it works. Maybe if they get enough reports that this person is scamming people or this person's sending out spam, they might block the address. But like I said, I think they use several addresses and they don't really care if you get one of them blocked. So just delete the message. I mean, if you're trying to report every single message, you're just swimming against the tide. If somebody's pressuring you to send money right now, talk to a friend, talk to a relative. Don't be afraid to talk to the police. Just say, hey, is this legit? Go to the bank and say, hey, this person said that my account has been hacked, and they'll be able to tell you probably hasn't. What they're really doing with this sense of urgency is trying to stop you from thinking clearly. So if somebody calls you and says you need to act right now, they're probably trying to scam you. And how can I help? Well, you can share this video with other people. This is not just about Japan, even though it's happening a lot in Japan. It's happening all over the world. You can help people by sharing this video. Thank you.